Hello and welcome back to April May Codes. I took a bit of a hiatus. We moved and we've been unpacking and adjusting to working remotely. That and I was absolutely stuck when it came to zoning, so I needed a break. A couple month long break, it seems. When I came back to my code, it wouldn't run for some reason. Something about the FPS was off, and I did some Googling and figured it out, I think, that it had to do with the overlay. When I tried writing the code from scratch, that's the part it got messed up at. So I tried creating the overlay when I create the game. Let's see here. Before I created the overlay in the game loop, I can take this out. I don't need that anymore. I created the overlay right here and then called self.overlay.display. Um, and putting it up here when I create the game seemed to fix it when I started my code from scratch. But that doesn't actually work with the code as it is right now. It breaks a bunch of the code. And the issue seems to stem from having a separate game and game manager. Um, because I need to reference the things in game from game manager and vice versa. So I started by just making player take game manager instead of game. So here I changed this from game to game manager. And I went through and changed all of the self.game.game manager to self.game manager. But then inventory needed it, and then something else, and then overlay needs it to access the info in game, but I can't find a good place to create game. And, well, long story short, I'm doing some refactoring today. I've already gotten started on it, but I figured I'd let y'all see what I'm doing instead of trying to go over the changes from memory. So in player, let's just do self.game and see what we find. I changed self.game to self.game manager. And then inventory needed to take self.game manager, use tool. So what I think I'm going to do is get rid of my game file altogether and put everything that's in it in game manager. But yeah, I went through and changed all of the self.game.game manager to self.game manager or self.game to self.game manager.game. But now game manager doesn't have a reference to game. So we just need to take out everything that uses the game class, and we're just going to use the game manager class. So I guess I'll start by coming here and seeing what we've got. So let's just take all this. Yeah, that looks good. We'll copy that, go to game manager, and we'll just put that right in here. Import random, import overlay, and this is just going to take self.layer. Nope, that's not going to work either because game does not have a player. Okay, let's do this. Do create overlay and set overlay right there. And then in our manager loop, I moved player add and zone here already from game. While self.playing, if not self.overlay, self.create overlay. Okay, I think that'll work because it'll only do it once. And then it'll do, oh, you know what? We can just take this out. And let's go back to game and take the game loop. Just copy all of that, paste it in there. And this will be self.delta time is equal to self.clock.tick. We don't have update time yet, so we'll need to copy that over. And just take out game manager from these. All right. I will put this back on GitHub. I took it down because I made the assets available because I was getting a new computer and I needed to get the images. And I'm sure there's a better way to do that, but I wasn't sure, so I just made it a private repository. But I will put it back up in a public repository with the assets hidden as soon as I finish this video. This is going to take self.screen. And now we need our update time function from game. And take that and put it here somewhere. There we go. Okay. Now, when does this get a player? In title, we create the farm, and then we create the player since we create the farm. So we can just take out game and self.GameManager.game. Playing is equals true, farm.interstate, so that looks good. So we can take out these two things. All right, now I've got to go through a lot of other files. Let's see, farm takes game manager, and I believe I already changed, yep, game manager.player add, and in player I put game manager.zone as a zone. Manager actions, game manager dot raining. Harvest will be fine. Okay. I guess we'll just go through file by file. Uh, um, that should be fine. Title should be fine. State and menu shouldn't need any changes. Load menu should be fine. Farmhouse takes game manager. And then when we create the player, we're going to need to make this just game manager. And then make this game manager.zone. And the zoning I'm going to be changing completely. But I'm not worrying about that just yet. All right, farmhouse should be fine. Farm, I think, is fine now. Inventory item is fine. Inventory, I changed it to game manager.screen. What else is in here? Game manager.drawText. Self.game manager. So I changed most of the stuff in inventory already. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So then in sprites, sprites aren't taking game, I don't think, so that shouldn't be an issue. I did have to do the player add for the, was it the tree? Yeah. But that was in farm, not in sprites. Okay, so I think that one's all right. Soil. Hmm. I think this is okay. Yep, soil looks okay. Rain. Rain should be all right too because we're just creating these in game, so we're not going to have a reference to game. Yeah. We'll come back to player.py. I just want to look at the rest of these real quick. Um, hmm. Yep, I think those are okay. Cursor just takes game manager. Okay. Camera group, what about that? Okay. All right. Oh, overlay. Okay. So we've got the player, and then we need to come here and change this to game manager for all of these. Which is right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. Okay. Self.player.game manager. Okay. All right. Overlay should be good. And hotbar. Hotbar looks good. So let's just go back to player. And we'll start at the top. Oh, one thing I did change is the images. I used a different sprite sheet. It's basically the same thing. But I think that my axe animations will be right now, so we'll see about that. So game manager is equal to game manager. Is true. So that game manager dot raining. Let's search self dot, or we'll just search for game. No, it's gonna give us too much stuff. The self dot game manager dot pause. Let's go up to the top here. Self dot game manager for inventory, that's fine. Game manager dot raining. Game manager dot pause. We'll change that there. Those are good. We can take all of these out. I'm in the transition function, just changing it to game manager from game manager.game. And I think that is just about it. Oops. Game manager. Okay, let's see what happens. Nope. Game state manager object has no attribute overlay. So let's set overlay to none in game state manager. Let's put that right here. When we create it, it will be none. And then if it's none, we'll create the overlay. Nope, that's not working either. I missed something. Player object has no attribute game. Oh, wow, I shouldn't have missed that. That is an overlay right here. Let's try again. All right, we're on the screen. We are moving. The frame rate looks good. If I hit enter, that's all working well as it was. Inventory. And then we can switch to our seeds and use them. Well, there we go. Okay. All right, I've got my game back to where I was. Now I can work on even more refactoring with the zone functionality. So that is all for this video. I will go ahead and post the code on GitHub if you want to take a look at the changes or if you are following along and don't feel like going through and doing all the changes yourself. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. All right, and I did find one other, well, hopefully just one other thing that we need to change in here. So I figured I'd pop that onto the end of this video. Um, in self-site game state manager down in zone, we're going to end up changing the zone code. But for now, we haven't. So we need to make that just self instead of self.game manager. And self.player should be fine. So that all should be good after taking out that self.game manager. So let's make sure. Start the game, we should be able to enter the farmhouse. And are we going to crash? We are. Game state manager has no attribute game manager. Self.game.manager.farmhouse. Oh, zone is using self.game manager. So this should just be self.farmhouse and self.farmhouse and then self.farmhouse.exit state. All right, let's try that again. And we should be able to enter the farmhouse. We did it. Sleep. And we're crashing. Oh, I just don't have my transition in the assets folder, so I'll need to add that. But other than that, I think we're good. So I will see you next time.